Good morning, it's me again. Here I am in the basement that's still cold. But it's starting to warm up outside, so that's good. Yesterday, it was very humid and the wind was blowing, and I was tired and I wasn't thinking that clearly, so I didn't do video. I'm trying to be less scattered and more on to point and not weird, but my brain does weird things and I can't always say what I want to. So sometimes I'm just a little flaky. Trying not to be flaky. Um, and here I am, in the morning with G. Just had my breakfast, so the coffee hasn't really kicked in yet. Gigi's in my lap asleep because he's super cute. He's been helping me sleep when I hadn't feel very good. He gets on top of me and like needs me. Give me a little kitty massage. It's so cute. And so he's a pretty good boy. And last night, my son came down and Gigi was so happy. You could hear him purring from across the room. This is a big room. My room is like I said, it's about the length of a single wide. It's about the size of a single wide trailer, only it doesn't have the amenities. So yeah, it's a pretty big place. It's a pretty big room. Um, we're talking about if we somehow convince money, we might talk to the landlord about buying the house and just fix it up a little bit and put a few amenities because I don't really need a kitchen. I don't need a full kitchen anyway. That would be nice to have like a little snacks area and some emergency foods supplies. Um, the landlord says we can't do a lot with the front yard, and something I'd wanted to do was get the raised bed gardens. I mean, I wouldn't actually be digging into the ground, and I'm not planning on growing potatoes because we live so close to Idaho, which is like the potato capital of everywhere. Um, so I don't think we're gonna really need to worry too much about potatoes. But yeah, I wanted to do like onions and carrots and tomatoes and bell peppers and stuff like that in a raised garden so that I don't have to bend over um, to do the harvesting. I'd also thought about doing blueberries and raspberries and blackberries and maybe some other berry in like a raised bed so that they're also off the ground so that it's easier to harvest them. Um, but I'm not really sure how that works and I don't really have the money. But yeah, because we were talking and my son and I were talking, and the only things, there's a few little things, relatively minor things that need to be done for the house if we do purchase it, like getting rid of the air bleed in the basement, which is probably why it's so cold down here. Oh, bye, G. Bye bye. He's done being in my lap. And I noticed this morning that the thing around the air conditioner isn't done right. So, but that's not even the right air conditioner for the size of the house. So we'd need a new air conditioner anyway, and probably get somebody who's professional to put it in. And we need a professional to figure out what's going on with the fireplace so that we can actually use it without the smoke detectors going off. But other than that, I mean, and maybe fixing it up a little bit to be more like what we'd want. Other than that, it isn't too bad. Thought about having somebody check out the electrical because we noticed that the lights flicker a lot, and the house was originally built in it's like 76 or something, so it's a little bit older, so some things might be just a little bit out of code. Um, but yeah, and if he doesn't sell us the house, then we can just live here while we look for somewhere that would work for us. But at the same time, we don't know how we would come into some money, or at least that much money. Oh, that's a lot of money. Um, Buying a house is very expensive these days. Some of the house prices are ridiculous for what you're buying, but then some of them is pretty good because it's got some acreage. Because I saw this cute house that was like this little 2-bedroom farm style house with a basement that could easily be turned into an apartment, and it sounded like somebody might have. And like the price on it looked really expensive, but then you found out it's on like 5 acres. So yeah, if I had 5 acres, I could build other houses on there. Or fix the place up a little bit. Get big gardens going. Maybe some fruit trees like apples and pears, because I don't think we can do that here on my property you actually need to have a large space for the roots, and I don't know where all the pipes and everything are. I don't want to like bust a pipe because the apple tree roots grew through the pipes. So yeah, here we don't really have the space for fruit trees, but because the roots do need a lot of space. But because bushes and vines don't need a lot of space for roots. I mean, at least not as much space, but trees do. Since I don't know where the trees are, I mean, where the pipes are, I don't want to plant like an apple tree or a pear tree or anything like that. But yeah, and then I'd also thought about putting some nice flowers in a patch, a couple spots in the yard where they're almost unusable. So I thought about just planting something there, and it would also help the homeless people not creep around between the buildings. Um, and the reason that that one spot is unusable is because of the way they put the fence in. Um, you don't really have an access to the side of the house. Like you're technically supposed to be able to do it from the front, but there's a big stiff bush up front that is hard to get past. I can get past it because I'm like tiny, but I don't know if my son-in-law can get past it. um, I'll have to see if he'll do it and find out. But yeah, there's like things that we'd like to do with the property. If we can afford it. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. But if it does, then it does. I mean, I don't have any family that has much, and the set of relatives, I should say, that actually do still own anything of value on my mom's side are needing dementia care or memory care, or however they put it. My great aunt can't even recognize people anymore. I mean, I think she still recognizes her kids, but there's a lot of us that she practically raised as me and my siblings. She doesn't know who we are anymore, which is, fine. They're getting old, so and that happens sometimes. But they aren't gonna wind up leaving us with anything. Is kind of the point, because they may have to wind up selling the property just so they can afford the care that they need. Um, and I'm not really sure how that's gonna work, but we'll see what happens. God, my brain cut out. But yeah, I'm trying to think of things to do for actual content, like to try to maybe plan something out or think it out, write it out or something. I'd have to find one of my notebooks. I have several that I bought intending to write stories, and then just my brain does that. I wanted to be an author for a long time, but I have a hard time with stories that are longer. Because I can get the beginning. I come up with a great beginning, come up with a great end. Sometimes I even have great ideas for some of the middle stuff, but it's connecting those dots. I'm having a hard time doing that. So that's kind of where that is, and I just I got a writing program that's free, and I was doing the typing on the computer, because then you can put, like, you can start it, you can end it, you can put stuff in the middle, and then you just type around it. But I can't find the file, so I'm thinking that since I do have evidence that the one roommate that moved out had been hacking into my computer, he may have, and he did erase some files, so he may have erased some stuff he wasn't supposed to, and he is very manipulative, so he probably would have done that. We are still having issues with him. He's contacting my son through Facebook and being a jerk, and we just want him to leave us alone at this point, my son and I, because one of this roommate's friends has been attacking my son through a group chat, and Eli, or my son, he disconnected himself from the group chat because these people were going after him and he didn't understand why. And I was very proud of him for being able to do that because toxic people should never have the right. But then a couple days later, this ex-roommate contacts my son and tells him he has to apologize to the person who attacked him for the person attacking him. And that's like, no, that's not going to happen. And I do understand that there may have been some kind of a misunderstanding, but nobody gets to tell my son that he can't protect himself from stress, especially right now when my son is having recovering from a pretty significant medical event. And he doesn't really need the stress of other people's BS, especially when they're not making any sense. And it almost looked like the person who was um, initiating the problem may have been intoxicated because the things that she was saying just did not make any logical sense at all. And we don't know why people were siding with her. So that's something, because like even my daughter, who has a little bit different view than me and my son do, she was still saying she didn't know why people were siding with that other person. So it's just drama, 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 and we want to cut ourselves out of the drama, and people just keep trying to drag us back in, and we don't like that. And my son is dealing with the fact that he probably doesn't really have any friends anymore. I mean, he has some people that are still talking to him, but the rest of them just aren't really, so he's kind of dealing with that. And he'd like to make some friends here, but it's difficult when you can't get out. We have very limited resources, me and him, and even though could get my back, even though the other household members have a bit more, we don't really want to be relying on them for things all the time. So we don't really get out that much. We don't. Yeah, that's kind of an issue. So we've been trying to get out for walks, and we've been trying to just let the good people, if there are any, know that we're here. There's not apartments here, so there's not a lot of people here except for the homeless camp, but that's a whole nother story. Uh-huh. But yeah, we're just trying to figure things out and get things going and be healthier. Yeah, I mentioned that situation. I'm not gonna go into a lot of details about what was causing it, or why this person was being attacative, because it's controversial. The individual who starts problems a lot, or I should say this female individual starts problems a lot and then flips around and says it's because of some life choice she made. And no, it's not the life choice. People don't like her because she's mean, she's toxic. And like I said, I'm not gonna go into a lot of the stuff, the reasons why the stuff she says, because it's controversial, and I don't want to get accused of being um something that we're not, because we don't want to deal with this person. This is the issue with this specific individual and not a group of individuals. So that's the thing. Um, but yeah, we're just getting tired of it, tired of being dragged in, and tired of being called names, and just so I mean, like when you get a problem like that in your friends group, it's completely okay to disconnect with wherever the problem is coming from, which is basically, I think, what my point is my son disconnected from Discord, and because that was the platform they were chatting on. I don't know that Discord itself had anything to do with the problem, but the person mediating the chat group wasn't doing anything about the issues. I don't know if he just wasn't paying attention, or because he doesn't seem to get online a lot. Um, but yeah, if I was a person that was mediating a chat group and I saw somebody acting like this person does, I would have banned them a long time ago. And I don't really get that, but that's how some people are. And like I said, I think he might be too busy to really be able to do that. So it's perfectly okay to disconnect yourself from some kind of social media or other types of platforms that are bringing in negative of activities to you. Um, like I've heard a lot of people talking about Facebook. There's been a lot of political stuff being posted, and some people are getting super aggressive, and they talk about having to block all these people or having to shut their site down or their page. Yeah, it's your page, having to shut their page down because people are attacking them for just no reason other than they have a different political view than another person. And that's just kind of, yeah, yeah. And then kind of doing the same thing where they turn around and like, you shouldn't have, you shouldn't do this to me. No, no, they have a perfect right to stop people from attacking them or feeling attacked or hurt or scaring them or whatever it is that somebody's doing that's making you feel uncomfortable or unsafe. You do have the right to disconnect yourself from that situation, and people need to understand that. It's very important, especially when you talk about abusive love life relationships, that people know that they can leave. um, I know with domestic violence, it can be very difficult to leave, but you can leave. You can call the cops. You can do anything you need to. I know in some areas it's not looked at very well. Um, it's harder to do than in others. But yeah, you can leave an abusive or dysfunctional relationship, no matter how close you are to the person. Um, and the thing with this situation that I was just talking about is that this person is not my son or I's friend. It's a friend of the person who contacted my son and said he had to apologize for that other person attacking him. And I don't think that's ever right. And I'm not sure what's going on with this person, because the roommate person, because we've known him for, oh my God, something like 13 years, 14 years. And we didn't have a problem until we moved in together, and all of a sudden we find out that there's all these problems. He felt like there was all these problems that didn't exist, and he was saying all this stuff that wasn't true. And it was just, so it was actually a good thing that he left, because he was definitely causing a lot of stress and problems. And my son and I really don't need that sort of behavior around us. And um, I wound up blocking him, which he's not happy about, but whatever, who cares? At this point, it's who cares. Um, I'm not sure what his motivations are, and I hope that he and his friend can realize that their problems are themselves and actually be able to get into like a clinic, a into the psych places, so that they can figure out why they're like this, because they're not functioning very well in society, and attacking people is what you need to do to function well in society or look good or feel better. I mean, it's just like, yeah, so I guess my point today is it's totally okay to disconnect from people that are being toxic in your life, even if they're not toxic with other people. And you do have the right to tell people who are asking you why you're disconnecting from those people that they're causing problems for you, and you are aware that they're not doing it to other people. Because one of the things that we get, the indications that we're getting, is because that these problems may be being created for reasons like me being a female and my son being disabled. Um, I don't know if they actually realize that I'm disabled as well. I'm kind of hoping they don't, because I don't want more attacking on top of what's already happened. Um, and I'm hoping that this can stop happening soon. Um, like I said, I don't really know what's causing them to act like this. I'm just getting tired of them blaming us, because we're not doing anything to them. We're not doing anything to them. We're not. I've blocked the roommate guy. I'm telling my son he might need to as well. He's just not really ready for that yet, but I think he's getting pretty close. He's still at that point in his development where he puts up with a lot, maybe more than he should. And of course, his sister's somebody who doesn't always notice things. So it's just kind of one of those things that's just kind of iffy, but I'm just really proud of my son for being able to put boundaries down with people that are creating problems. He doesn't need the stress right now. I don't know what the other person's problem is. And I just think that it's okay to tell people that they don't have the right to treat you that way. Um, they don't, because they don't. They're not better than you. They're not thinking clearer than you, and especially when they're saying ridiculous things that just don't make any sense at all. That's just they're just causing problems, and you do have the right to be like, no, no, this the way you are isn't. This isn't gonna work, and you can disconnect with them. And like I said, if you need to call the police or whatever to help, especially when it's a domestic, like if it's like a boyfriend or a girlfriend or I'm trying to think of the word, but you know what I mean. If it's somebody that you're in a romantic relationship with, um, um, then it's oftenly harder to disconnect, especially if you're married. Divorces can be rough, but you do have the right to file for divorce and do all that stuff if somebody is abusive. I know a lot of people throw up the Bible when they talk about why people shouldn't get divorced, but the Bible actually does state that, I mean, if you actually read that section, that if it's stated that if the man is abusive, woman has the right to take her kids and move back to her father's house, which back in those days, that was a divorce. Um, uh, they did have, because God doesn't want us to be abusive towards each other, there were things in the Bible where people had an out if somebody else was abusive. And I think cheating and physical and verbal and all that stuff is that stuff we in this culture would consider abusive, probably would still be considered abusive in the eyes of God. So even religion should be allowing you to leave an abusive relationship, abusive marriage. If people are telling you you don't have the right to leave or that you're disobeying God or whatever, then they're wrong. Especially if you are being abused, then they are wrong. You do have the right to leave. Besides all that stuff, the being raised Protestant, all this stuff that people talk about, that's between you and God. That's not between you and everybody else. So that's another thing to know. So yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm gonna be today, and like I said, I'm proud of my son for disconnecting with that person, not continually giving them the chance to keep attacking him, and because they don't have the right to do that, and I'm not sure that the person even was understanding what she was writing, which is something that my daughter had mentioned, that it seemed like she was intoxicated when she did that, as she might have been. But that's even more of a reason why it was okay for my son to disconnect with those people. So that's all that was. So yeah. I guess it's a good thing to close. I still don't have much of a following, but it does look like a few people are looking at me, so really like to get some feedback, and if you like what I'm doing, you can like and subscribe, and all that good stuff, and hit that little belly jiggy. My brain is trying to shut down, so it's a really good time to quit talking. So I'll talk to you guys later, and hopefully my brain will get less scattered. So bye.